Brendan in Ocala, Florida. What a show today. I know a lot of you are waking up from the food coma from being I was at 9.5, 10 hours straight visiting yesterday. And
do you do a lot of that? I don't do a lot of eating on Christmas.
We're pacing ourselves. You got to.
I don't do it. It's not Thanksgiving. Well,
yeah, you got to pace yourself. Christmas, man, around here, the food of the day was tenderloin. Did I have a lot of that? Yes.
No.
Look, take a photograph with your cell phone of the QR codes. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and we broadcast all over the place, these reels, Instagram, Spotify, everywhere, all the time. 8 shows on this channel. This is your one-stop shop, www.sidelines.live. Share us and like us. And I got to say, man, Christmas, lot of talk with everybody, everywhere I was at parties, and there's still plenty more to come about college football. Where are we in this great game? Where are we going? Who's transferring? Who's staying?
Look at my graphics.
I love them. I love the snowflakes.
I feel very festive still right now.
Well, growing up in Colorado, Brendan, you grew up with white Christmases. Now, I've had a few.
Apparently, it doesn't snow in Colorado anymore, so I don't know about all
It never rains in Southern California either, and it looks like it is.
No, they just got a dry season. That's going to be bad for fires. So.
I know. It's going to be rough. Let's get started. Frank Duffy over in Atlanta, also host. I get to be on with him. I love it. Thanks for letting me be on with you. Gold to Go podcast. Doug Dean joining us momentarily. And our special guest today, this is a cool one, going to be with us, Clark Humble from Atlanta. And hopefully he'll be right there with us. But this is, Clark, this was a cool story. Tuesday, I'm driving from Memphis back over to Arkansas, across the bridge. My great friend, Stephen Patrick Walsh, great Irish Catholic, guessed that one, lives over in Atlanta, said, you got to talk to this guy, Clark Humble. He's been to every college football venue, all 136 D1 schools, every one of them. And I said, send me his cell phone number. I'm driving. Safety first, of course. So I call Clark, and I'm like, this guy's straight out of the broadcast booth. You are an incredible storyteller, but you've lived the dream that I think everybody on this panel and watching this show would love to do. And by the way, if you ever come to Memphis, spent a lot of time talking to Trip Folks Folly. That's the greatest steakhouse, I think, in America. And same thing happens, how he gets together with his college buddies, 40, 45, 50 years later about football. Football pulls us all together. Clark, Merry Christmas to everybody watching. Let's talk about this journey. You've been everywhere. And we got a lot of SEC fans and college football fans that are ready to hear you talk. And I'm going to hand the ball over.
All right. Well, I grew up a poor kid in Iowa where we couldn't travel anywhere. So football was always on TV. I lived it through all of the great moderators and broadcasters. They made all these places sound so exciting and exotic. And so I went off to college, buried my nose in work for years, raised 2 sons. And as that was winding down, I was getting close to sending them away to college. I started hitting some bowl games to go see some places. And then when I realized that my wife and I had saved enough money to pay for that second child to go to college, I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting in the stands of, believe it or not, of all places, the Yale Bowl, the whole old historic stadium having its 100-year anniversary. And I'm like, you know what? Why not go see all of them? And so I went on a mission for 5 years to go see 135 stadiums at that point. I tell you what, it was daunting. It was tiring. It had its ups, its downs. It was exhausting, but I will tell you what, it was so much fun. And so people always ask, well, who do you support? Who's your team? I embraced the team of wherever I was at. So I cheered for 135 different fan bases, and I became one of them for that game. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was the best way to experience it. And I had the time of my life.
Did you have to expand a new closet for all the gear that you picked up on the road trips?
Well, I had to make a decision. Was I going to buy a shirt from every school? And I actually did the math, and that was actually going to be pretty expensive. So I volunteer a lot. So I was wearing a Red Cross shirt or whatever else. That actually gave me a free ticket here and there, whatever. And then my wife, for a Father's Day gift, gave me a shirt that said College Football Superfan on the front. But on the back, and this isn't the original, because the original is actually at the College Football Hall of Fame now, because they requested it when I finished. But the back of my shirt now uh, says,
Wow.
and I will tell you what. So the previous shirt that was similar to this changed everything. People came up and talked to me. People wanted to have their picture taken with me. People wanted to interview me. The College Football Hall of Fame contacted me and wanted to partner with me and follow my journey. They told me to brand myself. So that's why I am the college football super fan, because they had me brand myself. And so Mark Peterson down at the College Football Hall of Fame, somebody I've known, I've coached his kids, great man, really opened up a lot of doors for me, and just, and was a fan of mine, and encouraged me to really just go for this and have a great time. So I met up with him at a couple games around the road. I've coached over 1,000 young men in 6 different sports. I'll go meet up with my former players who have become mascots at some of the schools, or have played at some of the schools, or just to go to the game and have a Coke if they're under 18, or a beer as they get a little bit older. Yeah. And it's been fun to experience it through their fandom for their respective school where they chose to go to college. So, and I've periodically, my sons had both undergrad and graduate schools, so I'd hit up a game with them at their schools as well. So, it's been the journey of a lifetime. And a lot of people say, "Hey, I would love to do this. I'd love to go do this with you." I sometimes have to explain the math to them, because sometimes if I'm going to do 40 games in a year on average, which I do, that's doing 3 games in a weekend. That's driving somewhere for a Thursday game, somewhere for a Friday game, and then driving maybe 2 places to do 2 games on Saturday. Sometimes that's over 2,000 miles in 3 days by myself. So there's been some amazing road stories, and no great story starts with "I was sitting in my living room." So the great stories happen when you're out on the road. When I'm running a basketball draft for my 8 to 18 and under basketball league, and then I drive to Marshall. I've got a friend on a charity board that's on the board at Marshall, and I was going to hook up with him at the game. So we're texting each other back and forth. He's like, "Meet me at this pavilion outside the stadium." So I get to this pavilion. There's a bunch of old guys just like us. I can't find him. So I'm looking around, and then a woman comes in, and I don't have a ticket to the game. I haven't hooked up with him for anything. And I've just driven 500 miles to go to the game. And so a woman comes in, "Hey, we're going to go set up the banner. I need volunteers." So I go out with 12 other people. We walk in, we walk past security, walk in the stadium. It's not just a random banner. It is the banner that the team is going to run under at the 50-yard line. So I walk out there. I'm a big, I'm 6'5", 300-pound guy. So I'm a big guy. They have me holding one of the 2 ends of the giant banner. And then the mascot, Marco, is at midfield, and it's 3 minutes till the team's going to run out. So I said, "Hey, hold the banner." I go get my picture taken with the mascot at the 50-yard line on the logo, come back, hold the banner. Team runs out. We then go disassemble the banner in the end zone, and we're walking behind the team to go under the stands. I don't have a ticket. I still haven't found my friend, and I've got my camera on my back. So I stay on the field for the whole game and take pictures and just have the time of my life. God. Okay, that's a great weekend. That's just Friday night. I hop in the car and drive to Starkville, Mississippi from Huntington, West Virginia. If you do the math, and I finish at midnight, that's a noon kickoff the next day. So I drive, it's 10 hours to drive there, and I have 12 hours. So I can sleep 2 hours in a rest stop somewhere in Tennessee on my way to get to the game. I get to the game, I go at it. It's great. I have a fun time. Get my picture taken with both mascots down on the field, hop in the car, go up to the Ole Miss game. And it was LSU at Ole Miss, and it was Joe Burrow, and it was just wow. Scoreboard went crazy that night. It was so much fun. I had a great time, and then I still had to hop in the car and drive back to Atlanta to then run my basketball league. I had tryouts for like 6 or 7 hours that Sunday, so that's a weekend. So if anybody is jealous of what I'm doing, that's the tougher side of it. So
yeah. Frank Duffy, jump in here. This is the American dream.
Clark, you might know of us. We're Duffy Realty here locally. We're the flat fee real estate company, and we've sold over 65,000 homes here in the Atlanta area. Wow. And you actually sound more busy than I am, which is really amazing. Look, I thought I went to a lot of games. I've got an RV. I do Bengal One goes to all my LSU games. I'm constantly on the road. But to go to neutral locations, the closest I ever came to it was getting 2 games in Major League Baseball on opening day. did the Dodgers and the Giants in LA and Chavez Ravine. And then it was actually the 50th anniversary of the Dodgers going out to LA. So all the Dodger greats were there. Fernando and Don Newcomb and Sandy Koufax were the three guys that threw out the opening pitch. How cool was that? And then we ran down the freeway down to San Diego to catch Houston and San Diego. So I know a lot of people have done this in Major League Baseball, hit all the major league stadiums. But I think you're the first that I've ever heard that really has done this in all the college stadiums. And the numbers, like you're talking about, are just astronomical.
Oh, it's huge.
I'm very impressed by what you've done. What I'd like to ask you is two questions. Out of all the memories, out of all the places that you've gone, and I'm not talking about the game itself, I'm talking about the actual experience of being there, the joie de vivre that you experienced being at that location. What is the one that you can think of that comes to mind, and why? And secondly, when are you writing the book, and when can we expect to see it?
So I've had great experiences at a lot of stadiums, and often it really depends on who you're sitting around and whether it's a good game or just a check the box game. The one that gave me the most emotional response the first time I was in it, literally shivers down my spine, was actually at Notre Dame, and just the history of that stadium, and that it hadn't really changed much. They've added on to it, but I mean, the core of the stadium is the same as it was, 80, 90, 100 years ago when all the legends played there. And so that was the biggest emotional response the first time I was at any stadium. I'm sorry, the second half of the question was?
Yeah, when I'm assuming you have to write a book. You have to write a book of the exploits.
So the College Football Hall of Fame is after me to write a book. I'm about 3 chapters in. And the problem is I've been traveling so much that it's hard to even keep up with this. I used to even post this on a web page and all my travels. Yep. But believe it or not, somebody was trying to compete with me to set the record for the most games in a year. So there was this actuary out of Fishers, Indiana, suburb of Indianapolis. And I broadcast where I was going, and I wear a shirt. I'm easily identifiable. There are other people doing similar things to what I'm doing. And I'm a big guy. It's pretty easy to find me in a crowd. And I'm going to go to as many games as I can. So there's going to be a certain linearity to that schedule that a lot of us are going to converge at certain points. And this guy wouldn't talk to me after he met me, and he would just follow my site. And other college football super fans were telling me that this guy was asking them questions. What was my game count? And I never did this to set a record or be famous or anything. And I was averaging about 40 games a year. But you know what? The competitive juices, when I found out he was trying to beat me, I'm like, forget that. I'm gonna win. And so in 2019, I did 60 games.
Wow.
In 14 weekends.
Picked a good year. You picked a good year for it.
It was a good year. And near the end, all right, I'm 45, 50 games in. And to be honest, it wasn't even fun anymore. It was just exhausting because the travel was just, even beyond what I said, the Marshall, Mississippi State, Ole Miss weekend. It was like that every single weekend. And you really had to pick where could you get 2 games on a Saturday. And you had to position yourself.
Sure.
It was just, there was a lot of planning to go into that. So I saw him with maybe 8 or 10 games left. And I found out I was 2 games ahead of him, and I was going to make every day there was a college football game the rest of the season. So there was no way mathematically he could beat me. So then we had a great conversation. It was really nice. He was bitter that he wasn't going to win and he wasn't going to get in Guinness Book, which I wasn't trying to get in Guinness Book, but I did it twice. And one of them was for that. Now somebody has since gone and beaten that record, although I will say asterisk because they were going to all 3 levels of college football, not just D1. So whether I still have the Guinness record for that or not, I don't know. And it doesn't really matter to me. Younger men can go pursue that.
Mostly driving or some flying and
a combination of both. So, and oftentimes it was fly to a point and then pick 3 or 4 games around that. It's easy, especially when you've got Maction in the fall. You go hit a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday game for the MAC, and then a bigger conference for Saturday, and maybe even 2 games on Saturday.
Before I turn it over to Doug, I'm sure you have, like me, have tasted every bit of Love's and Pilot's coffee from all the different travel stops that are open 24 hours. And I am like you. I will get in my RV or my car and I will drive all night if it means getting to a game.
Yep.
Yeah. Doug.
Clark, if I accidentally call you Clark Griswold, it's just because it's the day after Christmas.
It was a nickname of mine straight out of college, so I understand.
I hope y'all had a great Christmas. Rob, did Audrey love that vacuum cleaner you got her for Christmas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She threw it at me.
I'm kidding. Audrey's going to get after me. No, listen, I can only imagine, Clark, the logistics of the hard choices you have to make. I mean, Frank and I and Brendan, all four of us, honestly, would say you don't just go to Gainesville. You've got to go for the big rivalry game. You don't just go to Death Valley. Ideally, it needs to be LSU, Alabama, maybe LSU, Auburn if they were still playing. And if I were really being just, selfish, you need to see not just the Eagle pregame flight in Auburn, but it needs to be for an Iron Bowl, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
But how did you balance doing what you could? Because, it's a premium price to go to any of those venues and a bunch of others for a big rivalry game, and even ticket availability had to be a challenge. Were you able to, in some cases at least, make a game when it happened to be the big storied rivalry that was being played?
I have, although so many of the rivalry games are played last week of the year that you have to pick and choose those. So I have not made it to the Iron Bowl yet. It's on my to-do list. When you're trying to do all of them, I mean, you're going to be going to smaller games. And I'm going to say this with love in my heart. I got down to the last year and I planned it out, and I really wanted to finish that year and finish in the 5 years. I didn't want it to lop over the next year. And Old Dominion was on that list. And Old Dominion at that point was not very good at football. Certainly wasn't a bowl team like they were this year. And they had resurrected their football program. And I couldn't find a non-Saturday to go, and I couldn't find another game to pair it with. So I was going to burn a Saturday Old Dominion football game. And I was really upset about it. And I got there, and I was at the game, and they were really nice to me. I got a free pass. I was on the field. And they were losing to Buffalo, 35-7.5. I mean, and half the fans left. And I stayed with the band and with the students. And then the team came out and scored a touchdown. It was 35-14. Then they scored another touchdown. It was 35-21. Then we're in the fourth quarter, and they scored another touchdown. It was 35-28. And I mean, this fan base, who is still relatively young and new because they didn't have football for so many years, is excited. And I'm all in. I am with them. I am living this journey with them.
That's beautiful.
And oh my goodness, they get the ball. They go down. 15 seconds left. They score a touchdown. What was left of the crowd went wild. Unfortunately, the sideline went wild too. Everybody ran out on the field. 15-yard penalty. They back them up for the extra point. They missed the extra point and lose 35-34. But
my God. I'm glad you went to that one.
It was great. And you know what? I had no expectation that would be a great and exciting game, that would be a memory. And I will tell you what, I root for Old Dominion every week now because I truly became one of their fans that weekend.
And that's why we should, for among other things, college football czars should find a way for I hate using these terms, but the second tier of not the Power Four, but to keep football engaging and interesting for fans for games like you just talked about. Because you look at, those logos are not going to terrify you when you look at them, but for the fans who were there, it was pure excitement, and it was for the love of the game, which we less and less see. And by the way, the four of us on this roundtable wish that you had picked a different 5-year period than the last 5 years as far as how our teams have been faring lately. But that's about to change in a new year. Hope springs eternal.
I will tell you, this sport has changed a lot in the 11 or 12 years that I've been doing this. So I've gone to about 480 college football games in that 11 or 12 years. And most of the stadiums multiple times at this point. Some of them still only one or two. But I will tell you what, I have unique and fun memories from each of those trips. And it was a different experience. Now, a lot of the schools copy each other. They copy the music. They copy each other. And great ideas are worth copying. But you know what? There are different traditions with the bands, and the bands playing before or after the game, and parts of the band playing before or after the game, or even the things you don't see on TV is some of the offbeat cheers that the band does when they're not playing their instruments, and the funny things or crude things that the students will cheer for various things also that don't make TV, but are just part of the experience and just part of the fabric of college football. I mean, I miss having paper tickets. I mean, I miss having an heirloom, something to bring home to put in a montage of what I did that season. I miss being able to, because I when it's only me and I need to scalp one ticket, that's normally really, really easy to do.
Yeah.
It's a little harder in this electronic age, and I get tired of paying the fees to buy them online. And
hey,
go ahead.
No, keep going. I want to hear this.
I miss the anticipation of going to a game and not having a ticket, which is 99% of the time what I have done. And the nervous anticipation of trying to find someone and negotiating to get a ticket to go into the game. And I've met some great people, and when they see my shirt or they tell my story, I get invited as their guest. I get to experience it with them or their family or their friends. And it's way better than me just randomly going into a game. And there are many, many places that I have a standing invitation. Anytime I want to, I'm there. I'll tell you one quick story. So I'm at the University of Utah. So I've done a BYU game on Friday night, a Utah State game at noon, and I'm doing Utah that night. And it's a big game against Stanford. The crowd's packed, and I outside. I scalp a ticket, I think for $40, and I go in, and I'm on the 40-yard line with all the blue hairs, all the longtime season ticket holders, and there's only one seat. So I'm walking past all of these elderly people, and I'm about to get to the seat, and a grandmother stops me. She's like, "Excuse me, did you buy that ticket outside?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I did." She's like, "How much did you pay for it?" I'm like, "Pardon me?" And she's like, "Well, I mean, we scalped that outside, and I wanted to know how much that man made by scalping our ticket." And I said, "Let me ask you a question first." I said, "Did you get to come into the stadium when you wanted to? Did you get to see the team run out of the field, the fireworks, the flags, all of that?" She's like, "Yes." I said, "Then wasn't it worth that to you no matter what I paid for the ticket?" She's like, "Yeah, I had a great time." "So what'd you pay for the ticket?" So I told her what I paid for the ticket, and she turns to her husband. "That man made $20 off of us." Yeah. And I sit down, and I will tell you what, she is the most knowledgeable grandmother about college football and her team than anyone I have met in all of my travels. We were best friends by the end of that. I have an open invitation to stay at their ranch. I'm not sure if I have to work to earn my keep, but I have an open invitation to stay at their ranch in Utah and go to any Utah game in the future I ever want to go to.
I got to ask you this, and I love this question. First off, Maury Gaston, have you ever read Chad Gibbs' book, God in Football and Love Thy Rival? That's one question. Number two, I got to ask, my kids love going out west to Jackson, Wyoming, and one of my sons is living in Moab, Utah right now, and college football is big. I think, look, I'm an Auburn grad, full disclosure. You know that. We talked the other night. But I think college football needs to matter everywhere. It's what America's all about. Work your ass off, overcome adversity, never quit, but it pulls people together. And now tailgating's got so damn big. And these last 5 years as an Auburn fan, been wandering through the wilderness, 5 straight losing seasons, packing it in, selling out every game. There's 90,000 in there, 100,000 tailgating. I want you to tell me about a place, Laramie, Wyoming, home of the High Altitude Performance Center at 7,328 feet. What's it like going to a game there? Does everybody look like Rip from Yellowstone?
No, they're all bundled up because half the season it's snowing up there. So my first time at Memorial Stadium, they were playing Air Force. It was like week 11. So Air Force was 4-6. They needed to win their final 2 games to be bowl eligible. And I ended up coincidentally sitting with the Air Force fans, who were a great group of people. And I especially sat with a man named Rick Baum, who is the Air Force super fan. He actually mentors a lot of the young men. He and I became great friends from this game, and I go see a game with him almost every year. Fabulous man and fabulous volunteer of his time to those young cadets to become great young men. So we're sitting and we're talking, and I meet this couple who has an RV. They were traveling to all their sons' games. This was their youngest son. It was his last college football season. They needed to win that day. They needed to win the next week to then be bowl eligible. They had an RV. They drove all over with their 2 dogs and going to these games. And Air Force was up by close 12 points, we'll say, with 3-4 minutes to go, and it looked like they were set. The mascot and I had agreed to go do snow angels in the end zone after the game. And then Wyoming went down and scored and cut it to like 5. And then the Air Force turned the ball over. Wyoming scored again. Wyoming won the game. And the depth of the sorrow of that couple when they realized that their college football journey was over, they're going to have a home game the final weekend. There was going to be no bowl game, and that their years and years of supporting their kids all the way through Pee Wee football, all the way up to college football, and to that day, it was over. And the sadness that I shared with them, the grieving that they were going through, because now that journey, that aspect of their life was going to be over. Was really, I mean, gosh, that was 8-9 years ago. It still is very real for me today. So, I mean, and that's the level of emotion that I've felt experiencing these people and experiencing football, no matter what the jersey says, no matter what's on the helmet.
Well, Clark, one of the things I want to echo, and I've got some standing to do so, and that's you invoked the name of Notre Dame, and you could have chosen any of 20 or more great venues. I'm not in a conversation like this. I choose not to be a hater. In fact, given the season that we're celebrating, I'm so tempted, but I'm not going to ask you from your travels, which was the most vile fan base, because I have a feeling, and by that I mean just really boorish, aggressive behavior and tailgating. Not where all of us are nutso during games, and we scream at flip birds at referees, and it's just that you got to take the intensity with the wheat with the chaff. But I went to college in the state of Indiana, and so I had the privilege of making about 12 home games in South Bend, and there's just maybe part of it is that I grew up cradle Catholic, but I don't think that was all of it, because I talked to too many non-Catholics or people who aren't religious who say similar things. But there's just something about the experience of that game day, and all the imagery around it, touchdown Jesus and so many things, and hearing that their marching band play their fight song pregame, it makes the hair on your neck stand up.
It does.
I think it's a real home advantage used when the Irish are playing well. Now, people, it's fashionable to have hate for Notre Dame lately because, they should have joined the conference, and just all these valid points, but largely misunderstood. Yeah. In this conversation for this show, I might put, boy, I'm gonna catch it from Duff from my Auburn faithful on this. I would put Notre Dame's the aura of that game day slightly ahead of Auburn, and Duff would put LSU above every one of them. I wouldn't blame him. And we all have an argument for, if you look at the really big time programs, and frankly, even some of the smaller venues, but who have such a passion as a fan base. Like, I mean, there are people. I know this has happened many times on Pat Dye Field and Jordan Hare in Auburn. Fans will have some ashes from their deceased loved one, and they'll wait for one of those games where you get to storm the field, and they will just kind of conveniently let some ashes go in the grass. I mean, to some that's strange, or cultish. They just wouldn't understand the
beautiful
passion. Yeah, I mean, it's just that was a wish of the loved one. I bet that happens a bunch of stadiums.
Well, our buddy Joe Douglas is somewhere in the south end zone, Rod.
Wow. Yep. I mean, and Frank,
unofficially,
yeah.
I had nothing to do with any of that, but he's somewhere down there on a goal line stand forevermore.
And Clark, when I graduated from Auburn, within, I'm not kidding you, 15 minutes of graduation, August 31st, it was 180 in the shade. My father and mother were there. Dad, an architect, Auburn grad, had me go over to the stadium with the university architect, Tom Tillman at Auburn, who used to work for him in Memphis. And we measured the stadium because he wanted to take it down 12 rows like the swamp at Florida. The feedback was, well, that's a great idea and all that, Bob. Blah, 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 blah. But there are multiple people buried under Jordan Hare Stadium. And I imagine since I graduated, there have been more than one or two more put there. So I digress. Clark, let her rip. Thank you. By the way, everybody watching, Merry Christmas. You have no idea what it means to us, you watching this and sharing this. And Clark, this is great stuff. Can't get much better because we're all the same age. We all understand what's at stake right now.
Clark, I have one question for you. I actually went out to the Rose Bowl last year. It was a bucket list item for me. Yep. My wife and I happened to be out there. We watched the Rose Parade and then went to the Rose Bowl. When you don't have a dog in the fight, it really is a very liberating feeling to be in the stands, and you can pick a side that you want to cheer for. and that's fun. But the liberating thing to be able to sit and watch a game without having that passion cloud your judgment, or watching the game with purple and gold filters on. Can you speak to that as just being a fan of the game and having truly an impartiality to be there for what it's like to watch the experience of that game, watch it unfold from a clinical standpoint?
I appreciate my fellow fans, but I have to laugh a lot when they don't understand the rules and they have Coke bottle glasses for their team beyond all logic. And I'm literally turn and explain the reason you didn't get that call was X. I mean, I'm literally explaining the rules and actually the difference.
Guilty.
And I don't do it in a condescending way, but I'm just like, you're rooting for the wrong thing. And then sometimes, listen, the season ticket holders are who paid the freight. But I mean, sometimes they can be so biased that they actually detract from the game. I was at not to pick on Georgia because I love Georgia and I've over 100 of my kids that have played for me have gone to the University of Georgia. I went by myself and I'm sitting in the season ticket holders and they're playing Arkansas and they literally thumped them like 66-3. And yet every play, there were 2 penalties on
bitching and moaning, guilty as charged.
Just enjoy that your team is winning and playing so well. I'm just like, sometimes these people just, I mean, they want beyond perfection. It's just like, I mean, you've already put the hog on the spit and you're roasting the mascot out in the parking lot right now. The game's over. Yeah. So. And
our friends in Athens have never been really called the most grounded of fans. We've all experienced that with them.
Clark, I got to call you on that on behalf of our wacko fans throughout the Deep South. You're asking for rationality and reasonableness in college football. You need to revisit. You need to rethink that, brother. I love you. I love you, man.
Well, again, I'm there to be impartial and be a fan of the game, representing all of everyone and all of us. And listen, I embrace those fans. I love sitting with those people. I try to sit near the student section of the band or on the threshold of the 2 fan bases. And as long as it's fun ribbing and they're just having a good time, it's great. I mean, I went to the national championship last year. I was between the Ohio State and Notre Dame fans, and it was healthy rivalry and fun poking. It was nothing inappropriate. It was all G or PG rated. And listen, they had a great time ribbing each other, and it was fun. And a lot of games are like that. Now I will tell you the one place. What's the most bitter rivalry? Which 2 schools hate each other more than anyone else? It is the Red River rivalry. It is Texas, Oklahoma. Wow. I witnessed more fistfights in the game than I've seen anywhere. And those people truly don't like each other. And that's not to diminish Ohio State, Michigan, or Auburn, Alabama. And listen, there's plenty of hate to go around.
Ole Miss, Mississippi State.
Yeah. Texas and Oklahoma truly don't like each other, and they will drop the gloves and let's go at it.
And I think it also has to do with that 50-50 stadium.
Yes.
Like Florida and Georgia share that in Jacksonville. Yep. So I think there's a lot of that. UCLA, USC. I mean, just, I think there's strength in numbers and there's civility in numbers. And when there's a balance of power, one side seems to want to go over the other. So I think that's probably a little bit of that in Dallas as well.
So I'm at the Red River rivalry. It's the COVID year, so there's no Texas State Fair. And not 100% tickets for the stadium either. So I'm in there on the threshold of the 2 fan bases, literally on the 50-yard line, and just jaw, fist. I mean, multiple people getting kicked out of the game. I mean, security constantly there. The game ends up going to 4 overtimes. And then we all kept shifting as a mass down to the 25-yard line of whichever end that they were playing on. I mean, it was a fabulous, amazing game. And people fighting on the way back to their cars too.
Pretty cool.
I mean, it was unreal.
Clark, here's an interesting, you talk about impartiality. I don't know if we all remember Johnny Most, the great legendary radio voice for the Boston Celtics. Great. One of the funniest things I ever read in the Wall Street Journal said Larry Bird one time was ejected for elbowing Lakers, Kareem in the eyeball. And Johnny Most call was, oh my, look at Jabbar hit Bird in the elbow with his eyeball.
That's right.
I mean, you can't make it up. Now, as you've driven around, one of my favorite things, Dad always taught me, White's radio log. I grew up, still am, an AM radio junkie. AM 1040 WHO, Des Moines, Iowa. Started pheasant hunting up in Mount Ayr. Those people, I told you this the other night. I remember Jake, our guy, we're out in the switchgrass outside of Mount Ayr, pheasant hunting, November 97. We were staying at, I'm not kidding you, at the Oddfellows Lodge there. That's where we slept. The Oddfellows Lodge, local 193. It was great, and the beer was cold. We're out there in the field talking, and I started talking to a friend of mine who was an Auburn guy, the original blogger for Auburn Tigers magazine, Mark Green. And I'm talking about Larry Munson, legendary Georgia radio announcer. And Jake, at the time, probably in his 80s, and could outwalk and outdo anybody doing anything, goes, Larry Munson. I went, yeah. He goes, 86 seconds left. Dogs in a bind. Falling sky. The sun is near the surface of the earth. Dogs in a real fight. Lauren, what do you got? Well, Larry, Georgia, right now having a hard time holding back this Florida offensive line. All right, that's it up. 84 seconds left. My God, the world is coming to an end. Dogs and cats living together. Who are your greatest radio announcers that you've ever heard? I still think Ed Podolak and those guys. Iowa produces. You've got a broadcast voice. I mean, it's unbelievable. I was talking to you the other night. It was like getting a massage in my left ear. I'm going, this guy is unbelievable. Love it.
I mean, the legendary Keith Jackson just, resonates forever.
Whoa, Nelly.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, when you think about who are the people that made me want to go see all those places so far away, I mean, it was people like him and his generation.
Yeah.
Growing up in Iowa and listening to University of Iowa games, Brent Musburger was a constant person there for many, many years, and did a lot of the games.
Also Midwest, Lindsey Nelson. After 3 downs and a Notre Dame punt, Purdue takes over at their 24-yard line.
Fitzgerald to O'Malley, back to O'Reilly.
Clark, I gotta imagine you don't listen to a lot of radio when you're in the stadium. And you do, or unless you put. Are you a hardcore? You put one in your ear?
No, when I'm in the stadium, I want to experience it with the fans.
I can't do that.
But I remember between venues,
I'm from Colorado. Well, from everywhere, but I grew up in Colorado, so I grew up seeing Nebraska. Grew up going to Buff games, and then I grew a lot of Air Force games, and then subsequently I went and worked in TV, slow-mo replay operator, and I cut my teeth in Mountain West. Right, I cut my teeth going to work in all these games and seeing these different venues. Rob's fascinated with Laramie, Wyoming games. I don't know why, but I was there at the longest game in the history, 2016, 4 hours and 32 minutes, and it finished at 2:30 in the morning. I was working the game, but
your ass was frozen to the seats.
Yeah, no, it was a lightning game. It was one of those crazy, windy, rainy games, and people don't understand the difference, right? You go to a Laramie, Wyoming, it's the town. That time too, you had the whole Matthew Shepard thing that was happening. The traveling to the different parts of the country when I worked NFL, I used to do 82 games a year in basketball, 82 games a year in hockey, all that stuff. But
wow.
The whole idea is that when you go to a different parts of the country, we live in such a great nation and it's so massive, right? And when you go to Europe and you go to other places, you realize how massive the United States is. Like, the topography, the weather, everything's a little bit different. I feel like when you go into these college towns, it's about the town, it's about the vibe, it's about everything else. Do you ever find yourself after you get over the luster of the game or whatever? I used to find myself sort of venturing in the mornings early when it was sort of the church time. Or did you ever find that the stadiums itself sort of had their own sort of, spirit, and there were certain times of the day you could sort of capture that?
They do. And actually,
I wondered if you could just talk about maybe a couple of your favorite places that felt like church.
At quiet time. Yep.
It is amazing to go back to a stadium the next morning after. Typically, the gates are still open. They're maybe still cleaning up, and to walk back in and to reflect on what happened the day before, or just to reflect on what happened ever in that stadium. And normally the workers won't say a thing, and you can just sit there and absorb it, or maybe even walk onto the corner of the field. And yeah, no, it is, to say that it is like church. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's a hallowedness, a quietness, a spirituality to that, and to what happens there, that you can't experience with a crowd. I mean, experiencing it alone in that quietness is truly special, and an opportunity that very few people probably ever get to do, or even think to do.
And I wanted just to dovetail that question. I didn't interrupt you, but when it's a service academy, Air Force, I mean, Air Force at dawn, Purple Mountain Majesty, the echoes of those who fought for us walking around, to me, finding the stadium at Air Force just by itself, going through to get there. I mean, it's like you're on grounds at that point,
Yep.
You're being tracked by a drone. Like
Yep.
they are on your ass, man. As soon as you lock into there, they know where you're doing, what you're doing. So I just didn't know if it was different for that. And I guess I was sort of driving to the Air Force thing because it's such a different sort of, it means so much more to the country and what we're doing. And I didn't know if it was different for you.
It does, and actually, it bothers me that so many other college football fans dismiss the service academies, because I'm like, you know what? Not only are those kids doing everything that your kids at your college are doing, but they're probably doing calisthenics and learning management and leadership and on the rifle range and 50 other things that your college football team isn't even doing. And you know what? Those kids are giving up a part of their life after college football to go protect the rest of us and to look out for us. And for me, those service academies, it's really special to be there, to be on the grounds. When it's a flyover, or they come parachute in, or they're shooting the cannon at those places, yeah, it's the real people doing that. Go ahead, Frank.
And a follow-up question I have to ask. It's interesting. You've gone to the home stadiums of all these teams.
Yep.
What neutral field games have you gone to, and have you done Army Navy?
I did Army Navy during Trump's first term, and I remember it was in Philadelphia. It was one of the most expensive tickets I ever bought. I was on the naval side, maybe 30-yard line, and the only reason I remember is the president sat like 15 rows in front of me when he shifted at halftime, because he sits one half on the Army side, one half on the Navy side. And then I was in the row in front of the lead admiral for the Navy, and I only know that because there was a nonstop parade of people walking up to have a book signed or other things signed by him, and I'm the only person not wearing a Navy uniform I'm in my legitimate seat, but I mean, I'm the only person that doesn't look like he belongs in that. So everyone was kind of looking at me like, why are you here with the rest of us all dressed up with all the bars and ribbons on our shirt?
Well, for what it's worth, if it was 2016, we had a midshipman at our school, our little bitty school up here in the North Georgia mountains in Big Canoe, sent a midshipman in 2016, and he was a plebe if that was the year you were there. That's how incredible the shared experience of America is with college football.
And I would tell you, if you're ever going to go to the Army Navy game, go early, go sit in the stands an hour or more before the game.
Watch them come in.
Watch them come in. Watch them march in and fill the stands. It is truly breathtaking, and it just makes you glad it makes you feel good to be an American.
Yeah.
One more quick story on the armed services. So I'm at Air Force Navy maybe 5 years ago, and Air Force is winning the game, most of the game. The naval cadets are in white for that game. I'm not sure why, because they aren't always. But you got 1,000 kids in white, and Navy made a stop at the end of the game to win the game, and 1,000 people poured out of those stands. And unlike all of us older people, they really sprinted 100 yards all the way to embrace their team. And it was just watching this sea of white invade the stadium and just in unison run down to the other side to celebrate with their teammates. It was one of the coolest spectacles I've seen for a post game in all my years of going to games.
Doug?
Clark, this is so fun. It's so fun to hear your stories. And I want to compliment you that it would be, an average fan who traveled like you did and all the expense and trouble you went to do it would bring their regional bias to it. And you haven't done any of that. you've got something good to say about every venue you made. And as you talked about Army Navy, that's one of those make the hair on your neck stand up pre-game and especially post-game. Both teams in a different way and more of a patriotic way compared to a Notre Dame. You mentioned Keith Jackson. Some of us, regrettably, in my case, are old enough to remember that it was such a privilege if your team got to be on ABC or whatever Keith Jackson was calling on a Saturday. If you were not named Alabama and a couple others, you were, maybe you got one or two games a year. And in Auburn's case, you got to be on there because if we're honest, you were playing Alabama at the end of the year.
Right.
But Keith Jackson, like 1986, we knew that Jackson called games Pac-12 all over the country because he was that good. But it's obvious he has Southern roots. You take any number of games like 1986 Iron Bowl that Auburn had lost. Coach Dye had lost 84 and 85 heartbreakers. 86 Auburn had 3 minutes left and they had to drive to have a chance to go ahead and win the game. And Brent Fullwood was badly injured, back then you didn't sit in a rivalry game.
Nope.
And he came in there late, and Jackson made a call. It was something like, well, I'll tell you, if that man is injured, he's got more gizzard than any man I know. And just language like that. Now I think we're suffering from dilution. There's so many games being played. There's not enough great broadcasters, play-by-play guys or color guys that we fall in love with them. I really like Brad Nessler and a couple others, but man, it's just so hard to manufacture that kind of talent these days.
Yeah, Clark, along that line, and I think there's debate. Keith Jackson's from Bremen, home of the polo outlet that Roy B. Sewell and his wife had. They had the athletic dorm at Auburn, forever Sewell Hall, or Carrollton, Georgia, home of Sam Haney and Tom Glanton. I had 16 fraternity brothers from Carrollton over the years at Auburn. But he went to Washington. Now, Walsh told me, I thought he went to Washington State on the GI Bill after World War II. He went to University of Washington and worked his way back. But thinking about when he would come, like Doug's right. Have you met Keith Donovan, the historian for ESPN College Football?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe he writes.
Actually, I think that's who. When I finished my 5-year journey, they actually requested my shirt that I had been doing this in. Yeah, I think that's actually who I gave it to.
Yeah, because Keith, I'd like to get him. I have a friend who knows him well. I want to get him on this show. He's the historian for ESPN College Football, and I think it'd be cool for him to maybe write a foreword for your book, because he talked about the cabal, as Doug referenced, in the 70s. It was a royalty. It was about 10 schools. You could only be on 5 times in 2 years. Didn't mean you were going to be on 5 times in 2 years, but when the TV people came to town, and I remember Brent Musburger coming to Auburn one time on a Thursday. They do all the staff meetings and the students, that was like my 6th year at Auburn, my 6th fall. I was redshirted twice. But I'll never forget, the first thing he does is go, hey guys, let's go play some flag football down on the football field. And he was so cool and talked to all of us and visited with us. And then spending the day with James Brown in Legion Field in 1987. It was my first Thanksgiving, but I did get turkey at 11 o'clock that night. I had to work, left Memphis at 6 o'clock that morning, had to go to Birmingham. And I learned a lesson from David Housel and Buddy Davidson at Auburn and Coach Dye, just always show class. And he was asking me about the rivalry, the Iron Bowl. I'm sitting there at the top of the stadium at Legion Field Friday. Actually, it was Thursday afternoon. And James goes, what is it about these schools that hate each other? Blah, blah, blah. I said, well, James, I said, give all the credit in the world to the team that beat you. I said, but we're all married into each other. We're brothers and sisters. We're husbands and wives. I mean, my God, I've got an oldest daughter now, the Alabama grad from remarriage. She's still a good person. But I think Doug's right. There's tremendous respect between Auburn and Alabama, more than you know. Now, there's pure hatred in that Egg Bowl. If you could quickly kind of go up and down the SEC, just some of these venues. We didn't talk about, did you call the Hogs? What's Missouri like? And, I mean, the Swamp, being in an outdoor steam room is how I would equate to being at that. That's an incredible atmosphere. And this guy, Chuck McKenzie, watching the show, said he's 81 over 500 Florida Gator games, but kind of bounce us around the SEC, because I know there's nothing more exciting than First Bank Stadium and Vanderbilt right now with Diego Pavia.
Except the stadium's so small and there's so few tickets.
I know.
So I was at the Missouri game this year, and so I wanted to see Pavia light it up, and he had a mediocre game for him. They still won the game. Missouri's quarterback got hurt in the game, and it was like 17-10. I mean, but you know what? Intimate stadium, and I sat with the students, and they're so excited that they're finally good at football for the first time in a while. That it's new and innocent passion, and you know they're so excited. I mean, the season ticket holders are like, we've been holding on for all these years, and we're finally really, really good. No, it was a great venue. It's just smallish, probably the smallest stadium in the conference. But no, I mean, I'd been there before they had done the remodel. So, I mean, the remodel's great. I mean, all the seats are great because again, it's a smaller stadium.
Yeah.
And you know, it's easy to get around, and there are a myriad of restaurants to go choose before or after the game. So no, it was a great venue, and it was a lot of fun to go see him. And you know, Pavia is an amazing talent.
Yeah, it is. Hey, look, we got only a few minutes left, but Doug, you're right. College football playoff games coming up. We got 8 teams left. These venues, having the games on campus, that's hard to beat. I mean, what they did at Ole Miss last weekend is the biggest sporting event in history. And I want to say real quick, this is one of our sponsors, Landers Ford Clark. Brad, this guy would be an incredible speaker to come to the Touchdown Club. He's hit all 136 Division I venues to watch college football games. He did 60 games in 1 year. But tell us real quick, what's happening at Landers Ford? Can't do it without you. People are out running around today. Can't get a better time to go in and ask for you to help them get in a new car, truck, or SUV.
That's right, Rob. 60 in 1 year. That's incredible. So we'll touch on that in just a minute. But 0% on F-150 Explorer Transit, this is commercial truck season, commercial van season. Making great deals on all Super Duties and F-150s. Bronco Sport, big discounts, great lease programs. Did another Mach-E electric vehicle on, man, my day's all screwed up. When Christmas is the middle of the week, it's like, what day was that? Was it Saturday? No, it was Tuesday, Wednesday. So, but man, we got a lot going on. Last week of the month, guys, which is always huge in the car business, making deals happen. But so many folks coming out trying to take advantage of that last year in tax advantage savings or trying to get somebody in a new ride, got time off from work. So come out, check us out at Landers Ford, buy a car, use our service department. Great time while you're off work to get some much needed maintenance done on your vehicle. So take advantage of our pickup and delivery or mobile service, or, just bring it up here and enjoy some of our fine coffee. But appreciate you guys. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas, and we'll have a Happy New Year coming up middle part of next week. So 60 venues in 1 year. How many goalposts have you torn down as part of that 60 venues in 1 year?
Well, by and large, they don't let us do that anymore. So I probably half a dozen where I've been on the field where a goalpost did come down. I've been to a lot of them where a fan or two got to the goalpost, but the police were pretty quick to intervene. I think the fine in the SEC to do that now is probably $500,000. So the schools have to protect. I mean,
we will pay it down here in the South, Mark.
Yeah, it's an interesting part of the traditions, but it is dangerous, and those goalposts are big and heavy. But I've helped march a few of them around the stadium in the past.
That's just 108.
Go ahead, Frank. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say Auburn's already claimed that next year if they get a winning record, they're going to tear down the goalpost that game. They actually have a winning record on. So.
That's not unfair.
Shots fired. Officer
That's not
down.
unfair.
Hey, look, and that's only 108. Brian Kelly going away 500,000. We can handle that all day. That's nothing. So we got that money.
I don't know where you guys are at in the conversation, so I apologize. But what was for you the most disappointing experience that you had? Like you have, all these schools. Because for me, I have my own that I've been to, but you got all these echelon of schools. You're like, oh, it's going to be a great experience. And you get there and you're like, man, that wasn't anything like I thought it was going to be. Would you have one or two that have stood out of like, man, that was the ultimate disappointment?
Well, in my 11 or 12 years, I've tried to never say anything negative about any place I've been or any fan base overall.
But
I mean, I would say when I paid a lot to go to a game.
Sorry.
and then it ends up being a lopsided game, and it's no fun to watch. And I will share one last story with you. The most disappointing game. I was a guest of the College Football Hall of Fame. I'm at Camping World Stadium, so it's not a home stadium. It's opening weekend after I've already done games Thursday in Moscow, Idaho, Friday at Stanford, Saturday 2 games in Texas, Sunday Notre Dame, Texas that went to overtime, and then Monday I'm at 20th ranked Ole Miss at number 5 or 6 Florida State in 2016. And Ole Miss is kicking Florida State up and down the field. They're up 28-6 before halftime. Fans are already leaving. It was a late game at Camping World Stadium, so it was an 8 o'clock game. So people have been drinking all day. It was hotter than Hades. So lots of bad behavior. And I lean over to this African-American gentleman that's been standing next to me the whole game, big, giant, barrel-chested man. And we're talking about the game. I said, listen, if you guys go down and score a touchdown before halftime, and then you get the ball to start the third quarter, you're right back in it. That's exactly what happened. They scored 2 touchdowns. Now they cut it to 1. He's like, oh my gosh, this guy prognosticated we're going to come back and win. I'm like, whoa, tap the brakes. And so Florida State goes on, takes the lead, and I was able to stand in the aisle in the club level to take pictures and then put my back against the wall. So a policeman we had agreed that that's what I was going to be able to do. So they take the lead, and then this big guy gets in front of me. So he's like 6'4", shoulders up to here, and he's like 35. He's not a college student, and he blocks my view. He stops in front of me. So the little yellow jackets are trying to escort this man to not be standing in the walkway, and he's resisting them. So I just go and I step around him, and I take a picture of Florida State, I think, kicking a field goal to go up by 11, and I go back to my spot, and he blocks my way, and he's like, who the F are you, man? Buck? I mean, taking pictures of the game. And I don't think a thing of it because I've lived my life as a brontosaurus. I'm 6'5", 300. I just assume people are going to leave me alone. Yeah. And so I don't think a thing of it. I'm just a fan, just like you. And I go back to talk with the man I've been talking to. And that guy who I'm talking to looks up. He says, this could be trouble. So I turn around. And the guy gets right up in my face, and he's poking me in the chest so hard he's going between my ribs. Who the F are you, man? You're a bitch, blah, blah, blah. You've been trash talking me the whole game. I'm like, dude, let's just turn around and watch the game. Your team's winning. And so he pauses, and then he does it again. And I see 2 yellow jackets at first. Now there's 5 yellow jackets. So I'm watching him, but I can see this in the periphery. I'm like, they can jump in anytime. So he does it again. F you, bitch, blah, blah, blah. Again, my hands are at my side. My voice never changes because I don't perceive that I'm in any danger because I'm a brontosaurus. And so he does it again. And I'm like, come on, man, let's just turn around and watch the game. And then his buddy eggs him on. So he does it a third time. He sucker punches me in the jaw. And then it's like a zombie apocalypse movie breaks out. People jump on this guy. He's trying to claw his way out of all these people. The cop shows up out of nowhere. He jumps on top of the pile. He's got one leg higher than the other, so I'm thinking Captain Morgan. And he's trying to drag this guy out of the pile. And he turns to me. He's like, what do you want me to do with him? I'm like, well, when he poked me in the chest, kick him out of the stadium. When he hits me in the face, he needs to go to jail. Yeah. And so all of a sudden, this guy I've been talking to the whole game, this big barrel-chested African-American man, officer, you need to prosecute that man under blah, 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 and blah, blah sections of the penal code. I'm the chief justice for blah, blah, blah county in Florida. And I look at him like, what? And so
sit next to a judge.
I'm right next to a judge. He has 10 people fill out affidavits on my behalf that I'd done nothing. So the cop disappears. I'm kind of standing there going, did somebody actually just hit me? And am I hurt? And should I have defended myself? And then the cop comes back. I mean, there's 2 minutes left in the game, and he waves for me to come with him. And the crowd is juiced. It's been a big day, and the crowd starts saying he didn't do anything, and they start chanting, "Let him go, let him go." I mean, I'm not even with the cop yet, and the officer finally puts his hand on his hip and puts his hand out like, hey, no, I know he didn't do anything. He just needs to fill out some paperwork. Yeah. And so I go off with him. I fill out the paperwork, and then I'm like, they only arrested the one guy. They didn't arrest his group. I mean, are they going to be waiting for me outside the stadium? And it's 1:00 at this point. I've got a 7:00 flight to fly because I've left my car in Spokane, Washington to do all these other games. I still have to fly back to Spokane, Washington and drive back to Atlanta. So I get done with that at 1. I walk back to my car. I mean, I'm too cheap to pay to park, so I'm parked in some dark corner of Orlando. I get to my car. I go get gas. I'm like, I'm not going to get a hotel for 3 hours. So
it's the ghetto right there, too.
It is a rough area. It is a rough area.
I sleep in my car at the gas station. I pull into the airport, and I'm reevaluating my life and whether I'm going to keep doing this college football stuff after that. So a couple weeks, 10 days later, phone rings. It's the district attorney for Orlando, Florida. Not a secretary, not an assistant. It's the district attorney. So were you allegedly assaulted? I'm like, there's no allegedly. It was in front of 5 security guards. And
a magistrate.
He's like, listen, son, you need to understand something. This is a very bad man. And I mean, I literally just chills go down my spine.
Oh,
and I'm like, bad, like he's in the mafia or a drug cartel? I mean, do I need to go into hiding? He's like, I really can't tell you. I'm like, I need to know if my family and I are in danger right now. And he's like, well, he's a 2-time ex-con. He has 4 assault convictions and 2 DUIs. And I'm like, when do you need me to be there? And he's like, well, what do you want to have happen to the man? And I run an outreach program for kids with a parent in prison. So I know that prison isn't the solution for everyone. And he's already been there twice. More prison isn't going to fix it. So I listed 7 things: community service and anger management, drug and alcohol testing, blah, blah, blah. None of which were particularly punitive. And so the judge says, well, you'll be hearing from us at some point. So I didn't hear anything for like 6 weeks. I'm still going all over the country, going to college football games. And this assistant district attorney calls me. He's like, well, this guy's got an attorney. He wants to know if you're really going to show up for this. I said, I will be there. You tell me where. He might call you just to see if you're going to come. Just say you will be there and you want to see justice be done. So I never hear from him. I'm in Florida twice more for other games. I come home. I get this big, thick packet from the state of Florida. And I am convinced that I got one of those stupid speeding tickets by mail and that I've got a stupid fine. And he actually pled out on the case. He agreed to all 7 terms that I had randomly thrown out that day. And that
very cool.
And so I do look over my shoulder when I go to Florida State games. If I'm ever going to run into him again.
How did I know it was Tallahassee?
No kidding.
How did I know it was going to be Florida State? I'm telling you.
And the judge,
I had batteries thrown at my head in Tallahassee. I am telling you, Florida.
And the judge added an eighth sentence. You have to be a Florida State fan for the rest of your life.
Yeah, Clark. I thought to Brad's great question, most disappointing venue or experience. I thought it was going to be Brad here, Alabama's next opponent, pre-Signetti. You could have seen Indiana with about 2,000 fans in John Mellencamp to watch a game, but not now, right?
Yeah, I mean, but the problem with that is your expectations here, with Indiana. Like, it's not like you're going to the 2016 Indiana game thinking this is going to be an amazing experience. Now, when you go to Michigan, there's 110,000 people, and it's the quietest 110,000 people you've ever seen in your life. That is the disappointing experience I was looking for. So I'll bash them. You don't have to, because we all know Michigan's pretty rough. Actually have a great experience.
Hey,
Clark. I my life in Tallahassee.
Clark, I went to the Miami Florida State game, unfinished business, August, September 3rd or 4th, 1988. That was the year after another wide right or wide left, whatever, Florida State. I'll never forget. It was at the Orange Bowl. Good friend of our family was one of the officials in the game. He left me 4 tickets at the 5-star hotel in Key Biscayne. Of course, my drunk ass forgot to pick them up, and I had to buy tickets on the street from scalpers. Thankfully, I speak Spanish, and I said, "Cuánto cuesta por el boleto?" And I bought 2 tickets, 3 from a friend of mine. One of the guys I was with was the assistant DA for Pinellas County, Clearwater. We got in that game. I'll estimate I saw at least 200 fistfights. I mean, I thought a Giants-Jets game I saw in the preseason in the Meadowlands the year before was rough. Holy shnikes.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here.
And that was just amongst the Florida State fans.
I was going to say, that was just driving through Overtown to get there.
I've never seen more white beater tees in my life. I mean, it was a rough crowd. But, I mean, I'll just say there's something good in all of them. What I love about this, I just love what Frank said. And you talk about a great writer, this guy, Doug Dean. He is absolutely gifted with the pen. And Buddy Martin Brendan's dad, GatorBaitMedia.com. We got some great writers on here. We got to get you back. But let me say, first off, thanks more than you ever will know for sharing your time the day after Christmas. I know you got a lot of things you do, but I love how much you give back. And the stories. One last thing that reminds people of why we love college football. Tell what happened when you went to Niall Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa.
So my next to last game. So I'd gone to a game when I went there for a couple years of undergrad to finish my undergrad degree. And actually my future wife had season tickets. And so she would take me to games, and I later married the girl. So I hadn't been in a couple years. I saved that, was trying to have it be last. Actually, LSU was my final game to finish all the stadiums. And we'll cover that next time. But so the local TV station, ABC, did a 5.5-minute news story on me before the game. And then I'm at the game. I got to be out on the field. I got to wave to the cancer kids at the end of the first quarter. And when you talk about emotional experiences in this journey, what a deeply emotional experience. Those kids are fighting for their lives, battling cancer, and the college football world stops and everybody turns and waves to those kids. That was a truly deep and amazing experience. And God bless the people that take care of those kids, and God bless those families that have to endure that hardship. But it's a very cool and unique part of college football that is just one of the many special things of the special things that each school has in some way.
Yeah. I mean, and Doug, read what he writes. If you can write and tell stories on pen and paper, you're gifted. Doug.
Hey, well, I was going to break. You don't get breaking news on Sidelines every time out, but Nicole Auerbach is reporting that former Utah coach Kyle Whittingham has emerged as Michigan's top target. A deal could be done as early as this afternoon.
Wow.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up. We didn't get into the college football playoff games, guys. We know how big they are. But if you needed a reminder, a battery charge, okay, an oil change, or why we love college football, Clark Humble, how do they follow you, keep up with you? Are you on social media or anything like that?
College Football Superfan is on Facebook. And I have a blog post that's a little bit out of date, but I will promise to get that ramped up and ready. I'm hoping to have an intern from the College Football Hall of Fame this summer to ramp all that up and put a map together of all of my travels and some of the crazy road trips that I've taken over.
Clark, I can speak for at least 3 of these guys on here. I don't know about Brad, but I love you, Brad. But you have an invitation to Auburn hosting LSU, and you know who LSU's coach is. You could be at worse venues next fall.
Yeah, Clark, you gotta help me get Buddy Martin into the College Football Hall of Fame somehow. I gotta get him into a Sports Writer Hall of Fame or something like that. Just gotta start some groundswell. My dad's Buddy Martin. Sorry.
Yeah, and I know this too. Gary Stoken recently announced he's going to retire. I love that guy. You talk about what in the Cathy family in Atlanta. I'm sure you know them, but what they've done for college football. When he talked about, hey, we went to South Bend. We wanted to move it from South Bend. The Football Foundation in Dallas, 39 out of 40 people said, let's go to Atlanta. Jerry Jones, the one dissenting vote. I understand. Went to Atlanta, met with Bubba Cathy and his other son, I think named Robert, and Truett Cathy. Gary Stoken said, I walked in there, made the presentation to him about moving the College Hall to Atlanta. And he told them all, and Truett Cathy, the Chick-fil-A, Mr. Chick-fil-A, Mr. Chicken Strips, said, is it good for Atlanta? He said, yes, sir. And he goes, well, let's do it. And his son said, well, he goes, Gary, is it good for Atlanta? You're great for college football. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. We're the most blessed people in the history of the world. God, I love college football. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, everybody. And Gold to Go is coming up next. We're going to talk some LSU Tigers. Thank y'all so much.